Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
This is the greatest cinematic experience I've had. And I think, like Petros said, it was one of those, like, you kind of had to be there. And actually sort of bringing up Avengers Endgame, like, I think the first time I watched it was like, I think the first time I heard an audience say like audible gasps, that iconic scene of Captain America sort of grabbing Thor's hammer. Like, imagine that, but it's penises for 90 minutes.
Penises in jeopardy.
In jeopardy. That is Jackass Forever.
Hey everyone, joining Flixwatcher today we have Petros.
Hello.
Darryl.
Hello.
And Kobe.
Hiya.
And we're here to talk about Jackass Forever.
Thank you as always to Mighty People for their mighty, mighty tunes, and thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for editing this podcast and this episode, as he has done magnificently for the past few years. Please do remember to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts to give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. And if you want to join the conversation with us, we are Twitter at FlixWatcherPod or on Instagram at FlixWatcher.
Hello film fans, joining Flixwatcher today we have Petros and Darryl. Over to you please, Petros, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hello, I am Petros, one half of Getting Dafoe You, a Willem Dafoe podcast where we cover all the highs and all the lows and all things Willem Dafoe on a dedicated podcast. I never get to say that on our podcast, so it's quite fun. And yeah, we season by season look at the kind of big hits, small curios, and everything in between that Willem Dafoe has done. Both me and Darryl come from respective Nicolas Cage podcasts, and we thought, you know what? We haven't done enough mental damage to ourselves. We will take on another one of Hollywood's wild men and have a little look under the hood of what William James Dafoe is all about.
It's like entry level, was it? Like you had to pass some kind of certification and that was Nicolas Cage. And if you didn't pass that, then you couldn't get into Dafoe. It's like that was your kind of entry level.
I think so, because Willem Dafoe's got like a far more extensive filmography as well. Like, I think Cage has got the
Cage?
Yeah, so
really?
Cage is like 106 by now, 107, whereas Willem Dafoe is like 142.
Oh, wow.
And counting. I think when we started the podcast, his up-and-coming releases on IMDb were enough for a full season of our podcast. It's like the man does not stop. So like it seems to be there are periods, it's almost like the transfer window you get within films where like they kind of green light a load of projects, normally post Cannes, and it would be like, Willem Dafoe has signed on to this, and this. And it's like, oh, he's in a Yorgos Lanthimos film. And they filmed another one as well. And he's in that. And it's like, Jesus Christ. And then it's like, he's working with Tim Burton. It's like, okay, what's this guy not doing?
At least 25 seasons of Dafoe to come. Basically, if you can't handle us at our Nick Cage, you don't deserve us at our Willem Dafoe.
What was your thoughts when you became aware of each other as respective Cage podcasters? We listen to each other, go, damn it, that's a good idea, I should have done that. Or we
Do you want to fight?
Yeah.
It's like when a new cat wanders into the neighbourhood. It was a lot of hissing over DMs. We just typed the word hiss for a while. And then eventually our backs went down a little bit, the tails went down, and we're like, yeah, this guy's all right. This guy's all right.
I think from my part, I purposely didn't listen to Darryl's podcast just because, like...
Just give the names of your podcasts, your Cage podcasts.
So Caged In for me, and Darryl is...
Cage Rage.
Don't tell us which one you think is better, because one of our feelings will be hurt.
Very sensitive boys.
I like you both equally, like my children. Well, guys, we're talking today about Jackass Forever. This is your choice, Darryl. Can you tell us why you chose it? And then, I mean, there's not a synopsis, but you have 60 seconds to give us a synopsis.
Sure. So in terms of why I picked this, I love Jackass. I think as soon as sort of Petros forwarded me the information of Flixwatcher podcast to be invited on, there was only ever one choice for me. The Jackass movies, it feels like a weird thing to say, but I don't know if any other movie has ever made me feel the way that a Jackass movie makes me feel. It's a very special thing. There's just highs, there's lows, there's squirming, there's disbelief, there's laughter, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to it as well. And then there's also something funny about a group of friends just beating each other up. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a sociopath, I don't know. But there's just a deep joy with everything that they do.
And you got synopsis starting now.
Cool. So, Jackass Forever. This comes nearly 12 years after their third movie installment. The Jackass gang have returned for perhaps the last ever time with Jackass Forever, the fourth crude, lewd, rude crusade into the hilarious, the cringeworthy, often genital-focused stunts. And this time they are joined by some brand new faces. And that is pretty much Jackass Forever.
Nice. Helen, where are you on the Jackass spectrum?
Well, this was like a nostalgia, like punch in the dick. Listening to Johnny Knoxville do his intros. I mean, were you even a real person if you didn't watch Jackass in the early noughties? I mean, I did watch the series. I don't know if I've definitely seen maybe the first film.
What?
And then I don't know if I've seen the other films.
What?
But I remember when this came out the year before, and a few critics that I admire rated it extremely highly. And I tried to go and see it at the cinema, but very sad to report that it did not make it to the local picture house.
What?
And it was not considered a film.
Enough.
So, and I didn't manage to see it at the cinema, and I would have loved to have seen it at the cinema, I think.
Oh, allusions to the small screen score.
I mean, there's a lot of dicks in this. Like, I can't remember there being that many on the TV show, maybe because of Watershed and things. And I think the only thing that's really changed is cameras are so much more in like high definition, and they've got like so much better filming. So they can really get in on the details and get in that slow-mo.
It's when they did the flashback to the cup test, like which what probably like Jackass 101. You were like, those cameras were terrible.
Yeah.
Compared to what they are now.
Filmed on a potato.
Yeah, exactly. And projected onto one as well.
Everything looks like super smooth, super high def. I mean, the opening kind of tells you all you need to know. I mean, Steve-O makes a dick out of bees. That's kind of all you need to know.
Petros, Jackass, where are you?
I am a massive fan of Jackass. I remember we used to have an aerial dish on our house, and like we had Sky for a while. Our parents got rid of Sky, but for some reason we started picking up German TV. Like this dish was massive. For some reason, it's the 90s, like into the early 2000s. And we picked up German MTV, and they're a lot more lax with like the Watershed. So they were putting on like episodes of Jackass, I don't know, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So like my kind of post-school viewing was very different to a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? People would be rushing home to watch Boy Meets World, and I'd be like, I want to watch Johnny Knoxville get his genitals destroyed. So yeah, a massive fan. I think I've watched like number 2 was the first film, like 18 certificate film I saw in the cinema.
Oh, right.
God bless her heart. My mum bought me and a friend tickets during the day so we could go to an evening screening. I wasn't old enough, and I kind of put on some jupe and like stood up, the best posture I could possibly have, and kind of marched in, and some spotty 15-year-old was like, I don't give a fuck, man, just go through.
It's like, look, I've seen it. It's Jackass. Have some fun.
Exactly. You're the target demographic. Do you know what I mean?
Jackass is weird. If you put it down as a pitch nowadays, it wouldn't make sense. But I was in university. I lived in a house of 9 guys when Jackass first came out. And there was one night, I remember, I think they did like 6 Jackass back to back, and our house was destroyed afterwards because we just like enacted some of the nonsense that happened in it. And I still have pictures somewhere of antiquing powder, aka flour, just been thrown around, and we got fined from our landlord because there's antiquing powder, then there's like beer mixed in with the antiquing powder on the carpets, and you just could not get that shit out.
The lads, everyone, the lads.
Yes. And I've seen all the films. I've seen all the films in the cinema, and it's generally one of the best cinematic experiences ever. Just as you said, Darryl, I don't know. There's laughter. There's like, I'm very, very nearly vomited in Jackass 3. Genuinely, I just couldn't. I don't know how I held it back at one point, but this time, in all the previous screenings, I've seen it with people I know or just a packed screening. This one is me and one other bloke, and I don't know who that bloke was, but we became best friends, even though we never shook hands. But we were like laughing for each other, we were like retching for each other, and it was a really weird cinematic experience. But we were there for each other in a really weird way, and I loved it. Very sad though that there's 2 people, Ryan Dunn, who's passed away, and Bam Margera's in kind of dire straits. I really like Bam and his family whenever they appeared in the TV show, so it's kind of sad not to see them. But I think the new kids did a decent job, and the first female Jackass,
Yes.
I think she did well. There's no way I want to get stung by a fucking scorpion on my lips.
Yeah, Rachel Wolfson.
Or lick a taser.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you, though. I think to this day remains for me the greatest cinematic experience I've ever had, because you can look at it on like face value, like, hey, it's just a couple of dudes throwing things at each other's dicks and having a laugh about it. But when you're in a room, because when I saw it, it was like a half-pack cinema. A lot of people, myself included, were going with their other halves to watch this as well. This is pure date night cinema, people. But you look at the collective power of cinema, and what is the best cinema? It's those where like strangers in a room bonded together through like laughter, tears of laughter, feeling like, oh my God, what's going on? Just palpable energy in the room. And I don't know if I've seen anything before or since that's really emulated that, and just seeing like, what else can they do to a man's ball bag? Like, oh, that. And I'm just like holding my sides crying. And I think having not seen it for a while as well,
yeah,
it's for me like really sort of held up. It's kind of a mixture of emotions because the Jackass guys, sort of understandably, obviously, Johnny Knoxville gets greyer as the film goes on. I think he just allowed, he's like, yeah, I don't need to dye my hair anymore. Bam Margera, like you touched on, he's there in like blink and you'll miss it scenes. Obviously,
the end.
Yeah, I think he's in the marching band one as well.
Oh, is he in the marching band one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
He's not named, but it's very much blink and you'll miss it, but he is there.
Okay.
But the new blood in it as well, I think, do great. I think for me, as it was at the time and even now, the MVP is Poopies.
Poopies, yeah.
Love Poopies. I'll rephrase that. Best newcomer, I'll say, is Poopies. MVP is Ehren McGeehee.
I was going to, Danger Ehren.
Danger Ehren. I don't know if he annoyed someone or drew a short straw in this one.
Oh my God, the bear, fuck.
Yeah.
The bear, he takes a pogo stick to the testicles. I understand that he ruptured his testicle from that stunt as well.
Did you hear something break? Yeah, man, his fucking balls. He broke his dick.
I did the most nostalgic trip with this film. I went to watch this with the same idiots I went to school with, who I used to like reenact this stuff with when we were at school. So
with
like
a pogo stick?
No. We used to reenact like old Jackass stuff. I remember like lunch breaks, we'd stack up as many chairs as we could and like kind of launch onto them and like fall back, and like elastic bands around our head. I think there's a video somewhere, like an actual VHS somewhere of like stunts we filmed and stuff like that.
There's definitely shopping trolley antics as well.
Yeah,
we all did it. We all did it.
So like being in, I was in a packed cinema, and I remember halfway through the film, like messed up and like had to stop. And I think for a lot of us, like I was a smoker at the time, it was like, great, can I have a cigarette? But like, it was just like this collective, like, oh no, we're like kind of, they're putting a break into this whirlwind that is this film, because it just kind of, it's full on, right? It's kind of, especially seeing it in a packed cinema, it's like you were saying, Kobe, like that collective thing where you feel bonded with everyone who's in there. And it's like to be there with the same idiots I went to school with, being like, this is great.
I was thinking, I wish I was back with my guys from uni with a bunch of antiquing powder. Danger Ehren. Did he just draw all the short straws? Because he did the paint. He did the properly painful ones, and he did the. There's a couple of types, isn't there? The ones that are just like the pogo sticks to the balls, where you're just like, that's not good at all, guys. What? Who came up with this, and how did you sign off on it? How did you agree that you were going to be the one to do it? But then there's also the properly hilarious ones where, like the snake in the box, and they're in the darkened room.
Oh my god!
Oh, Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Hilarious.
And Chris Pontius is there in a robe, just dancing like a freaky ghost, and that kind of shit, that has me in tears when, no one's in real danger apart from that new guy jumped on the mouse traps for no reason. But I love that shit where they just feel like they're in massive danger, and the way they react to stuff. But Danger Ehren, all the short straws, I don't know.
He takes a UFC heavyweight punch to the dick.
Yeah.
He gets like a ball thrown, a hockey puck, a pogo stick. He's in a room with a bear. He's in the quiz game where it's like a hydro pneumatic flip-flop or whatever it is to the crotch.
Oh yeah.
Silence of the Lambs was great because it was like a stunt upon a stunt.
Yeah.
And that exchange between him and Dave England was like, Dave, like I found a door. I was like, yeah, I'm sure you have. Like, no, you've got to come this way. I found a door. It's like, I'm staying right here. It's like, right, whatever, you're on your own. Dong, walk straight into a frying pan. Like comedy like that is just so brilliant and pure. And it's just like, I knew it was coming because I remembered it. I was like, I was still almost in tears last night watching it. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like a tall ask for a film. Like I sat wrapped up in my bed watching this at like, I don't know, 11 o'clock last night, being in absolute stitches just on my own. And it's like the only things like recently I can think that have done that is like Jackass Forever and like Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it's like, what a kind of,
what a world to be in.
What a
time to be alive.
What a thrill that just seeing people getting like that. Silence of the Lambs. And it's a small moments. It's just like, because there's been so much content of Jackass, you kind of feel like a weird parasocial thing where it's like, these guys like in and out, and like just like the small moment of like Dave England when that kind of comes to an end and he's like, yeah, no, you need to come out this way. And he's like, I'm going to start a new life here. Like stuff like that ruins me. And it's like the interstitial things, like the kind of Steve-O getting the football to the head as he comes out of the toilet. It's just
amazing.
Just great. It's like just the kind of the fun antics, this kind of stuff like that reminds me of the High Five, I think it is, from number 2, that is just like so great because it's somewhat harmless. Do you know what I mean? Like some of the stuff, and there's kind of bugbear I have with this film is like some of the animal stuff.
Oh, totally.
Feel a little bit unsettled where I'm like
the vulture and the spiders, and you're like, you don't need to put those guys in so much distress as well, do you?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like stuff like when it is them kind of doing stuff to each other or putting themselves in situations, it's like you've only got yourselves to blame. And it's like when you're kind of like a bear, like there's the moment with the bear when the kind of guy has to come, like the fact it's chained, and like when he comes in and puts like the chain around his neck, it's like, ooh, like I feel a bit icky about this.
When you're talking about the incidental bits, they do have me in stitches, like the new guy from England. Like, first of all, there's a guy from England in there, which made me laugh. It doesn't feature that heavily, but he has a couple of incidental ones where he's on a skateboard, he's on a BMX bike, and just someone poleaxes him with a massive like yellow fist. And one of my favourite ones, which still makes you laugh, is Eric Andre buying a coffee, and she says, "Can I get a photo?" That massive inflatable, I don't know, thing smacks him in the face, and he loves it, and he's just like, yeah. This is what I'm here for. This is Jackass, and I'm crying with laughter because it's not a mean one, but it's just a fucking hilarious one. I'm here for all of those.
Well, I think like having someone like Eric Andre there and like the new guys, what's great about it is like they feel like surrogates for like us as the fan, because it's like these are people, and if you watch like
Machine Gun Kelly as well.
Yeah, if you watch like Bad Trip, like it's kind of, it owes a debt to...
It's a huge homage to Jackass,
to Jackass, and it's like when you see like the new guys, whether it's Jasper or Zach or Poopies or Rachel Wolfson, they're all like kind of like, they grew up on this, and you can see like sometimes like the joy on their faces. I think it's Zach at one point, or like Jasper says like, I want to do the introduction. And it's kind of like that thing that's like, if I was in that position, that's exactly what I would want.
Yeah.
Be like, please let me introduce, please let me say like, I'm Petros, and like, this is the ball slap or whatever.
Is there anything else guys want to say before we head to the scores?
I think with some of it, even with some of the slightly weaker skits, I guess, whatever, stunts, whatever you want to call them, I think it is kind of like just watching like an old group of friends, and some of the like asides that they make, I've took quotes from some of them, because there's one towards the end where I think a recurring theme in these movies is that Johnny Knoxville has to be hit by a ball. I think he had a broken wrist, broken rib, sort of head damage as well. And he's like, that ball didn't like fucking magic when he comes back around. When Ehren's in the room with the bear, another quote, Mr. Bear, eat that dick. And one, a sort of quote I took, and some of my notes here are like, I think Jackass has done more to repair the damage done by toxic masculinity than maybe any other group of guys. There's just like one little line where they're doing the scorpion Botox once when Rachel's getting stung in the lip by that scorpion, and then it falls on her sort of breasts, and Chris Pontius says, I can't take it off your boob unless you give me permission. She's like, I consent. And the other funny line, this stunt's not going to be for everyone. Dave England gets covered in 5 gallons of pig semen, and when they tell him like, it's pig semen, he just goes, I'm a vegetarian. My other note is like, and I firmly believe that this is the only legacy sequel that matters. No one else comes close, and it's peak cinema. You know that meme of like John Wick with like the letterbox saying like, I'm thinking 5 stars. It will never be anything less for me.
Well, let's head to the scores then. You marked yourself, I understand, there.
Set the bar high, yeah.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. As always, out of 5. You can have decimal places if you wish, and we'll start with you, please, Darryl, with your recommendability.
So, might have given myself away a little bit there, but recommendability, I think I've had to give this a 5. While I admit I don't know if you probably want to watch this night after night after night, it may sort of lose its appeal upon repeat viewings, but I've never not had my mood lifted by watching a Jackass movie. I think it's just complete. You know exactly what you're getting into. It's that great sort of kind of movie where you can just come back home after a long day, or it's a weekend, you've got some drinks in or whatever. You can have some friends around, or just watch it by yourself or with a partner, and it just holds up. And it's just completely different. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm like, you need something to watch. There's 4 Jackass movies. Go and watch all of those. So it's a big hearty 5 from me.
Petros.
4.5 from me. Yeah, I recommend this. Like, it's kind of that thing though. If you haven't seen it, like if you're not on board the train, like you're not going to get on the train. But if you're on the train, toot toot, baby.
Helen.
I'm also going to go for a 4.5. Yeah, less so on the animal stuff, but like, man, the stuff like the marching band, because like they're all like dressed up, and it's literally open over like less than a minute, and it's so chaotic. It's so funny. Like they give each other concussion as well. It's just, and they're all like, we're going to play our instruments. Wham. So yeah, 4.5.
I'm going 4.75. There's definitely people could not recommend this to, parents, young kids. But
start them young.
For people who just want a bit of a giggle or want to dry heave, then yeah, this is your film. This is the film for you. So 4.75. Repeat viewing score, Darryl.
As repeat viewing, I'm going to sort of say a 4. I think just to quickly echo Helen's sentiments there. Start them young. Let them learn the way that we learned, nice and young. Yeah, repeat viewing. I think, like I said earlier, I think if you watch this religiously, I think you'll still smile. The sort of like breathy laughs just out of your nose, but when you know it's coming, it kind of dulls it a little bit. But I went like a year, 2 years between seeing Jackass Forever. So a load of the stuff in between I'd sort of forgotten about because it was like watching it with fresh eyes again. I think space it out a little bit, and it's it's like a nice, warm, smelly hug being with the Jackass guys. So
a jizz hug.
Absolutely, a 4 for me.
Petros.
I'm gonna have to echo Darryl's 4 there. Yeah, I don't know, like I just want to be with friends, beers, like watching this, like kind of like, because then it will lead to the reminiscing and stuff like that, and kind of like, I don't know, yeah, before you know it, the flower's out, the first person to fall asleep's getting like, I don't know, smacked in the nuts or something like that. Yeah, it's a fun time. Yeah, I reckon. Definitely a 4. It's one film that like I rarely buy films brand new, like day of release. I remember the weekend this came out on Blu-ray, I bought it like an absolute madman. I was like, I just have to own this. It's like such a great film, and kind of, yeah, like Darryl said earlier, I don't think I've had a cinema experience like it. It's kind of weird that the kind of pantheon of like recent films where it's like you had to be there in the cinema, it's like this Avengers Endgame. Do you know what I mean?
Helen.
I'm also going to give it a 4. I would very much like to see it again and definitely watch it with company. I sadly watched it on my own this time around, but I think I'd have a lot more fun watching it with people. And it's it's an hour and 37 minutes. Like, they know what they're doing. They're not like, we're not going to make a 2.5 hour one of this. We're going to keep it nice and short. So yeah, 4.
Yeah, I don't know where to fall on this. I've never rewatched a Jackass film because I think I've always just enjoyed the experience in the cinema, and I've typically kind of been like, no, this is fine. I don't need to watch it again. But it's good rewatching this, but I was sad that I wasn't rewatching it in the cinema. I think it's probably part of it. I think I really want to watch these again in the cinema if I do watch them again. But I know that there's with this and the previous one, I think it's like a Jackass 3.5 and a 4.5 where they show different versions of the stunts or with different people, things, how they manifested. So I definitely want to watch those things. But again, I really want to watch this in the cinema, but that's more about small screen score. Go for 4 with you guys. Darryl, small screen score.
A small screen, I've gone for 4. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is the greatest cinematic experience I've had. And I think, like Petros said, it was one of those, like, you kind of had to be there. And actually sort of bringing up Avengers Endgame, like, I think the first time I watched it, it was like, I think the first time I heard an audience say like audible gasps, that iconic scene of Captain America sort of grabbing Thor's hammer. Like, imagine that, but it's penises for 90 minutes. That is
penises in jeopardy.
In jeopardy. That is Jackass Forever. I think it completely works on the small screen because I think for a lot of us of a certain era, that's how we discovered Jackass on our TVs through MTV when we all started slowly but surely getting Sky because I harassed my mum to get it for years, and then we all end up finding our way towards MTV. So I think there's a comfortability with Jackass, but it doesn't really matter where you're watching it. It's like you're watching it with friends. So yeah, a 4 for me.
Helen.
Yeah, I am sad that I didn't get to see this at the cinema. So I just, even now, like, had a quick look to see maybe if the Prince Charles might have it. They've had it on before, maybe again. So I'm going to pray that maybe it comes back there because I think that would be really fun. So I'm going to give it a 4 because obviously it started life at home viewing, so it does kind of fit that. But I definitely think watch it in company.
Yeah, I think it's a company thing. I'd love to do a Prince Charles Cinema marathon of all the Jackass films. I think that'd be fucking hilarious. So I'm going to petition them to do that, or Pitch House Central in their all-nighter, and get Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville been in London recently. I think he was on stage with Empire podcast not so long ago, so he could come back. I think it'd be quite good fun. I don't want to give it a low score, but I did really fucking love it in the cinema. 3.5 engagement score. Darryl.
I mean, for me, I think once I've started, it's very difficult to stop. So I'm giving it a 4 because I think the length it is, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It definitely leaves you wanting more. You're completely absorbed by it throughout watching it, and then by the time it finishes, you just kind of think to yourself, I wish it was longer. And then I immediately want to watch the other Jackass films, and I want to watch the .5 films, and I want to go back to the series and watch Wild Boys and Viva La Bam, and I just want to live in that 2000s bubble all over again.
Life was simpler then.
It was a simpler time, it really was. Baggy jeans, kickflips, baby, bring it back. Yeah, I just like absorbing these all in one big bite. So I don't know, some of the animal stuff, I think I agree, not for everyone. So you might sort of waver a bit on those, completely understandable. But yeah, a 4 for me on engagement.
Petros?
It's a 5 for me on engagement because, like, once this is on, it's not going off. Like, it's kind of, it is that thing, like the TV test of if you were flicking through and like, you're like, oh, Jackass. So I'm definitely watching all the way to the end. Yeah. And I toil with that thing because I have a 5-year-old son, and it's like, when, obviously I'm not thinking about this now, but it's like, I started watching Jackass when I was about 12. Is that okay to introduce him to the wild ways of Johnny Knoxville and crew? Probably is. So I need to just like leave hints. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of have the DVDs knocking around, and he can find it on himself by himself, and be like, I'm going to watch this with my pals. But yeah, I think if I know it, if it's on, I'm like, or if someone's watching it in another room, I would definitely kind of be like, I'm perching down on the sofa arm and kind of watching the whole thing if it's on. So yes, got to be a 5 for me.
Helen?
I'm going to give it a 4. I mean, it doesn't really ask that much of you as a viewer. You just have to kind of sit there and be able to not look away as...
be able to not look away. Like head clamped in a vice.
Yeah.
Orange style.
Yeah. So yeah, 4. It's good fun. It zips along nicely, and yeah, it's good.
I'm going to go slightly lower than you guys for a couple of reasons. I'm going to go for 3.7. 2 reasons are, when you're at home, it's easy to stop it. And I've never done this before in my life, and this is maybe why I've only watched Jackass, each of the preceding films once before. But when I knew something was coming, like the pogo stick, I did have to pause and think, I don't want that right now in my life. Obviously in the cinema you can't escape, so you can choose to turn away, or you can just absorb it, or if you're just curious what's going to happen, you just let it wash over you. But that one is one of the few rare experiences where I thought, I don't want to watch this again. If I watch Irreversible again, I'll probably do the same kind of thing. So that's one thing. The second thing is the cinema was just beyond reproach. But yeah, the ability to stop. The fact is, it is episodic, so you can say, I'll just stop after the cup test number 4 and then go away for a bit and come back the next day. You can make it into a series of like 30-minute programs rather than one big film. So yeah, a bit lower than you guys, 3.75. Yeah, 3.75. And that gives an overall score of 4.18750.
It's very high.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Decent score. Small screen score, the lowest there. Recommendability, the highest with 4.6875 as an overall. Splendid. I just want a couple of things I wanted to mention, which I forgot to. In terms of the cameos and the new members, I hope I don't know, do you want them to carry on and do more stuff? Would it be the same if Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville aren't there?
It'd be
I don't think it would be the same for me. Yeah, it'd
be a strange one. I think I hope they'll be there in spirit, like guiding hands in the background. But I think Jackass Forever is a very suitable handing of the baton to the new blood, and maybe Danger Ehren will still be there to take the big hits, like no one else can. That 2 years on, like I hope he's recovered physically, if not mentally. But if they did sort of carry on in some capacity, I think that would be great. I mean, at the same time, we never thought we were going to get Jackass again after Jackass 3D, but then we got Jackass Forever. So
yeah,
I guess we hold out hope. And I think to echo sentiments, if somewhere in the UK could do a Jackass marathon, an all-nighter, I will be there with bells on. Name your price. I'll be on the first megabus down.
I know that they do like Shark Week stuff. Like they kind of like, I know that it's
What,
like
Shark Week?
Like it's on like the Discovery Channel or something like that, but it's like kind of like Jackass presents Shark Week, and it'll be them fucking around on boats and kind of swimming with sharks and doing stunts and stuff like that. So there is kind of still life in the old dog yet. So like, and I think them doing it like, and it's kind of remiss not to mention kind of like possibly an MVP for me is Dark Shark.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Like, what a kind of like revelation that guy is. The kind of guy who has like seen it all, like an ex-gangbanger, been inside, and then like you show him a spider and he's kind of grabbing people. Like,
yeah, but that wasn't just a spider, was it, man? Come on. And that was with Danger Ehren as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I just want to shout out to some of the cameos in Tyler, the Creator from Odd Future. And I didn't realise Jasper was from Odd Future as well. The guys that come in, they're doing a good job. They're doing Eric Andre there. Was there another cameo who I thought was good? Not enough Tony Hawks this time round.
Yeah, just covered in bodily fluids, and then that's enough Tony Hawk for me. Thank you very much.
I've got to say as well before we leave that intro is just amazing because it's like really grand and like obviously cinematic, and obviously I think Spike Jonze had a hand in like helping direct that section, but then like the way it ends with just a snapping turtle biting Chris Pontius's penis, and then like you kind of the fourth wall breaks and it's just all of them in a room. It's kind of a dichotomy of what Jackass is. It's like, yeah, we're going to do this grand thing that looks like an opening of a movie, but then it's just going to be a group of guys being stupid in a room
with cardboard boxes and
like,
a snapping turtle.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, if you're listening and you're not following us on Twitter, do go and find us there. We are at Flixwatcher Pod. Great thing to follow us is because we do talk about films in general, but also when we come into recording like this, we do ask for your inputs. Look out for a tweet saying something similar to, we're reviewing Jackass Forever with Petros and Darryl from Dafoe Pod. Have you seen it? Tell us your thoughts and you'll score out 5 stars for an on-air shout out on Flixwatcher. So we had a couple of comments. Darryl, do you want to take the first one?
So I do see there was a tweet from our friends over at the podcast Nobody Asked For. They gave it 4 out of 5, and they say a great mixture of nostalgia and people being hit in the balls. Parts feel a bit dated and could do without a sudden appearance of Machine Gun Kelly. Tyler, the Creator, is great though.
Tyler was having a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Petros.
So we have Last Film Scene, who says, Jackass Forever. Fun to watch with a crowd on a big screen, but a drunk midnight showing would be best. And I'm not keen on the animal bits. He gave that 3 out of 5 stars.
Echo what we said, and looks like Last Film Scene is just linked to a previous post of theirs. Helen, last one.
I mean, we'll read it out, even though there was no star attached. This is from Chauncey Talise. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Like the previous Jackass entries, it made me very happy.
I think that's a great way to summarise. Petros, Darryl, sign off by letting everyone know where we can find you online, and we'll say goodbye to listeners.
Well, thank you so much for having us on. We've had a pleasure talking about Jackass. You can find myself and Petros over at Getting Dafoe You, a dedicated Dafoe podcast in which we, in curated season by season, are covering all of the highs, all of the lows, and all things Willem Dafoe. So join us all aboard the Dafoe commotion train. There's plenty of room in our carriages as we chug along to season 3. And you can find us on all the usual social medias, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Dafoe You Pod.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes, and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.